Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Hall Family Wines Happy Hour. My name is Catherine Hall. I am so glad that you joined us today because we have an absolutely extraordinary show for you. This is just, for me, the perfect way to kick off this wonderful Labor Day weekend. My guest today is the San Francisco Symphony. And we've got 4 members of the Symphony joining us. We have 3 of them artists. We're going to have some wonderful live performances and great conversation, and of course, some wonderful wine. So the wines that we're going to be having are all part of our Endless Summer Sale. This is a sale that we've had going on for a short time now. We extended it through the end of this weekend. So if you want to get any more of these wines, you've got until Monday evening. This is a sale that it's across Baca and Walt and Hall. So all 3 brands, you can check out the websites for all 3 of the wineries, find what you like and enjoy. So these are the wines that we'll be having too. We're going to start off with the Walt Clos-Pepe Pinot Noir. That's a 2017. Then we're going to have the Zinfandel, Somersault Zinfandel from Baca, and that's a 2018, and we'll finish off with a 2016 Cabernet, the Bergfeld Cabernet from Hall. So we've got great wines. We've got lots of fun ahead. Now, for those of you who are thinking of coming up to the winery or up to the wine country, we are ready for you. We are open. We've got our tasting rooms outside. This is our patio out in Healdsburg. This is the Baca Walt tasting room out there in Healdsburg. So you can join us. You can sit down outside. You'll be overlooking the vineyard, and we've got the Russian River right on the side. So it's just a wonderful spot. This is a picture from our St. Helena winery. So you can see we're distancing. When you come, you will wear a mask. Our team always wears a mask, but you will be taken over to your place where you will be tasting. And then once you're there, you're just with the folks that you are with. And so you can take off your mask and enjoy yourselves. We want you to come and be healthy while you're here, and we want you to leave as healthy as when you came. This last picture, oh, I love this picture. This is the Walt facility down in Oxbow in Napa. So we have tastings outside. So all of the tastings are by reservation only. We're doing that now so we can be sure that we've got a great place, space reserved for you, and then we can be properly distanced. So come on over. There's also a great Walt tasting room over in Sonoma. I know many of you know that, and you sit outside under the redwood tree and in the shade, and it's just totally wonderful. So come on up. We're ready for you. We've got lots of great wine and can't wait to see you. So I think it's time to bring on the first of our guests. This is Oliver Tile. And Oliver, can you come on and join us? And
Catherine.
there he is. Hi.
How are you? Thanks for having us.
Well,
so delightful to be here.
So Oliver is the head of digital innovation for the Symphony. Actually, first, let's just have a glass of wine first, because I have some questions that I want to ask you, Oliver. Okay, so this is our first wine. This is the 2017 Clos-Pepe Pinot Noir, and I'm going to pass this little bottle to you. Nicely done. Yeah. So we'll talk about this wine a little bit later, but for the moment, cheers.
Cheers.
I love this wine. I love this one. I love the nose. I love everything about it. So now, Oliver, let's start off by this. What does the head of digital innovation do for the Symphony?
Well, for the Symphony, we're in a interesting spot right now. The pandemic has really been significant to the performing arts in many ways, with really no concerts, live concerts for us in sight anytime soon. And that really sort of strikes at the heart of why orchestras even exist, right? Which is to bring people together in a room and build community and hear live music, through the power and emotion of what they do. So in the absence of live concerts and our ability to get people in a room, we have to go to where the people are, which is sheltering in place on their computers and televisions and phones, and really bring music to them. So it's really about finding ways that we can be creative in the digital space. It's finding ways that we can really keep those connections with our audiences and our generous community and our patrons and everyone that has been so vocal that they need this music right now. They need art to get them through what we're all going through.
Isn't it so? Yes. I think we need art and we need wine, but yes, which is art for us in our perspective too.
Yeah, and then for us, that's really in the digital space, just making sure that our musicians and the incredible talents that our musicians normally bring live and in person can really then come to their living rooms in fun ways, in meaningful ways. And I think we've done a great job of that so far.
I think you are. You're doing a fabulous job on that. Tell everybody about the Currents program that you have.
Yeah, and I think we have some photos to share as well.
Oh, good.
This first shot is actually, we've been pretty busy this summer as we figured out that, how can we very creatively get music to those who need it and want it. And so we've done living room concerts. Our musicians have had a lot of fun with these sort of Zoom style Brady Bunch videos where they play together. This one, I believe, is from William Tell Overture, otherwise known as the theme from The Lone Ranger, which they had fun with their kids and their pets, and they were dancing and playing and just had really added some much needed liveliness and fun to a very serious time. And so far that's been seen by about 4 million people on our Facebook page. So big props to our musicians who've just been so creative and so willing to jump in and do whatever they needed to really keep the music flowing.
Oh, and isn't that wonderful?
It's been amazing. In the current series that you mentioned, this is really our project this summer, where we've taken a look at sort of the way that music intersects with other cultures. Obviously, there's a lot of importance right now on making sure that we move society forward in many ways. And one way that music can do that, and one way that orchestras can do that, is to really look beyond the concert hall into all the musical cultures of our Bay Area. Classical music, and blends it, not unlike the way your great wines are blended with such care, that make sure that the tradition of the music comes through, but also takes into new places. And for us, that means blending classical with Chinese music, as you see here in this photo. Or in the next photo, we did a 20-minute episode on the intersection of classical music and jazz, on improvising in the way that often probably a winemaker or a field manager needs to improvise just a little bit if the weather is throwing you a curve with or perhaps the smoke is affecting the grapes in the way that they shouldn't. Next episode in the next photo is really an exciting one that just launched. It's our hip hop and classical episode called From Scratch. Again, you can see this on our Symphony website, sfsymphony.org/currents. And this was an amazing episode that really took a look at the vibrant East Bay, Oakland hip hop community that has been so central to that musical culture. And it is an entire culture, not just a musical form. And collaborated with two amazing artists, Kev Choice and Naima the Dreamer, created brand new works for orchestra and hip hop MC. And it's magical, it's meaningful, it's passionate, it's important. So I would encourage everyone to check it out. And our musicians were just so amazing in really being part of that story.
Oliver, I second that. I think that in particular, you just get such a feel for Oakland and the culture of Oakland. Yeah. It's brilliant.
And that was really our hope with this entire series, that it really isn't about, the symphony being the center point. It's really about making sure that our art form can be as respectful to all the other musical cultures that either came before it or are coming after it. And that's what's really been so amazing about this series. The next photo, let's see, we have, this is an exciting one. Just last week, we released our latest album, which was a collaboration with the heavy metal giants Metallica. This was a concert that opened the Chase Center in San Francisco last September, about a year ago. It was an amazing couple of concerts. And so this was filmed as a concert experience and an album. And between you and me, I just heard that it's probably going to debut at #1 on Billboard next week. So keep that a secret. It's not final yet, but it's an amazing collaboration, a lot of fun. So give it a listen, even if you're not heavy metal fans. I think the symphony really shines in this one too.
Oh, I just think that it is so important that music, and in particular symphony and classical music, I'd say, is just as a genre as a whole, needs to be relevant to society, and it sort of needs to be there. And I just love what you all are doing.
Yeah, and there's one last photo here because
that we know that scene.
Yeah, and this we all miss it. This is our home, Davies Symphony Hall. We all miss it so much. I know every musician on this tasting can attest to that. But we are also saying hello to a new music director and a new artistic team of collaborative partners that we wish we could be celebrating and welcoming in person, but we'll be doing so digitally. So as we get into our fall season through streamed performances and this Currents conversation and other ways that we can really welcome Esa-Pekka Salonen, our new music director, and really show off our entire orchestra digitally or in one-on-one concerts that allow a single audience member to interact and hear and experience music from a single musician through a very safe, socially distanced environment. It's going to be exciting. We're going to stay tuned for the full announcement the next couple of weeks of what we have in store, but we really just can't wait to get back to this photo because we do miss the live music. So
right, but I love the way you're taking advantage of all this and this connection to the community. We have up here in Napa, we have a Festival Napa, which is a wonderful series, and it tends to be outside, although we have some indoor venues that we use. But now with COVID, everybody, of course, wants to be outside anyway. But it's been, for us, it's just a really important part of connecting with community. And and I so applaud. I love what we're doing up here in Napa. I applaud what you're doing in San Francisco, because you set the bar for all of us, and we all come to San Francisco to go to the symphony. We don't go someplace else. So it's really wonderful.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I propose that let's say a few words about this wine. Okay. So as I mentioned, this is a Pinot Noir. It comes from the Clos Pepe vineyard. And now we have a picture. Isn't that a beautiful vineyard? So this is down by Santa Barbara in the Santa Rita Hills, and just produces beautiful fruit that has sort of lots of dark cherry, dark berry flavors, tends to have a lot of earthiness. For me, the real quality that stands out always in this wine is the earthiness that comes through, and it's part of our portfolio. Actually, we have a very long-term lease on this wine, and we are very proud that it's in the portfolio. So what do you think?
Oh, it's amazing. I have to admit, if I had a desert island wine varietal, if I only had to drink one for the rest of my life, Pinot would be it.
Oh.
I just, I fell in love with Pinot and on a road trip through Burgundy. And so this kind of earthier style with the clove and the dark fruits it's right up my alley. And, it's a big wine, but it's got such great structure. So if I had to sort of put my music and wine metaphor on, I'd say this is sort of like a Beethoven symphony. I mean, it's big,
structure.
It's big, it's bold, it makes a statement, but it does so within a balance and a structure and an elegance, and makes you smile. So this is a Beethoven Symphony No. 3 for me. So,
oh my goodness, Bravo, monsieur. Nicely done. Yeah, I'm glad. So I suggest that we now bring on the first of our musicians. We've got some wonderful musicians lined up, and our first performance is right around the corner. Oliver, would you like to introduce our first artist?
Yeah, I think first up is it Katie or Helen? I'm sorry, I don't have the.
It's Helen.
It's Helen. Wonderful. This is our associate principal, second violin, Helen Kim. Just an amazing artist, one of the most talented artists. All three of these are some of the most talented artists in the world when they're in the San Francisco Symphony. And she's an amazing player, and I think also a big wine fan. So I think she'll love reviewing the Pinot. So go for it.
I love that.
This is fantastic, Catherine. Thank you so much for hosting this event.
Well,
I think most of us at the Symphony love wine. One of the questions in the column, it says, what's your go-to drink after a big show? We always go to a wine bar.
I love that.
Yeah, and this is a really beautiful wine. I wish we could be together in person, preferably in Napa, outside, live music, wine all together, but we'll have to do what we can until that day comes. We do miss playing for you. We miss interacting with all of you. And today we're just gonna perform a few short pieces. I'm gonna play a piece by Astor Piazzolla. It's called Tango Etude Number 3, and I've shortened it a little bit.
Well, we are looking forward. This is fabulous.
Good for good luck.
The stage is yours. Brava! That is just, thank you so much, Helen.
Thanks for having me.
By the we were confusing a few people there for a while because we had the jig up there, which is obviously was not, but we got it right before you're done.
Okay.
Tell me, has violin always been your number one instrument?
No, when I was younger, I played a whole bunch of things. I started with piano, dabbled in violin. I played oboe, actually, briefly. I played drums and marching band. played girls football, did swimming. I was interested in a whole bunch of things. Wasn't that good at any one of them particularly. So when I had to apply to colleges, it was like a major situation. It's like, can I actually stick to something and be really committed to something? And I went into it actually quite half-heartedly. And it wasn't until I played orchestral repertoire for the first time. I still remember it was Mahler 1. And I'd never heard of Mahler before. I grew up in Reno. I didn't know, the big time classical superstars. I had like one CD of Vanessa Mae, maybe, but the rest it was Britney and Metallica and all that. So it wasn't until I had my first amazing orchestral experience that I thought, oh wow, I can do this for the rest of my life and be interested.
And there's a little known connection between Mahler 1 and wine. A lot of the sounds that Mahler put into that first symphony was sounds that he heard around him, and he frequented the Heuriges, the sort of the wine harvest festivals and restaurants, and really incorporated a lot of the sounds from those in the town of Grinzing that he actually was buried in.
Oh, Grinzing, of course.
Symphony.
Yeah.
He was a great wine lover, so a little connection there.
Oh, that's a wonderful little factoid. And by the way, another time, I've spent a lot of time in Heuriges in Grinzing over the years. Helen, it is just wonderful that you came on, and what a great way to start our weekend. We're all very lucky that you stuck with the violin. Because what a wonderful talent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow, this is very exciting. So, Oliver, I think we should go on to our next wine. We've got 3 wines we're going to taste. So to all of you who want to join us for the next wine, we're going to do our Zinfandel. This is our Somersault Zinfandel. And I'm going to pass this bottle to you here, Oliver.
Got it.
Great, nicely done. So, yeah. So this is a vineyard I love. Baca is our brand that makes Zinfandels, and we make some other wines under the Baca label as well. But our approach, well, with all of our wines, this is true, but I'd say especially so with Baca, is that we take our winemaking very seriously, but not so much ourselves. And so for that reason, we want the wines to have names that are playful. So every one of the wines is going to have a game name. And so this is our Somersault. And for me, what's so great about this name is that it reflects the vineyard. So this is a beautiful vineyard. It's up in Mendocino. It is owned by a young man named Piccini, who is trying to restore this vineyard to the way it was when it was originally planted. And when it was originally planted, it was done so by his grandfather. So these vines out here in this picture, you can see they're all, they are old vines. They're all about 100 years old. The techniques he uses when he is sort of to keep the cycle of the vineyard organic and proper, he uses the sheep in the vineyard. So it's called an ovicycle. And so anyway, we love this. But what I particularly love is just the reverence for the earth, the idea of that the young Piccini fellow now has in terms of restoring this back to the greatness it has. And I think what happens here is the wine that comes off of this vineyard tends to be very powerful. It has lots of structure. It's very big. Zinfandel for years was not made in such a sophisticated way, but we felt with the Baca brand we could try to bring some elegance into the winemaking on Baca. So, what do you think?
I love it. Yeah. It's just the fruit, the jammy, spicy fruit, sort of going for the heart, really kind of just the expressive fruit that's just so pleasing. Let's see,
Zinfandel is such a crowd pleaser.
I know. So I got to put some music to this now, right? If I did Beethoven 3.
Come
Let's see.
on, yeah.
Crowd pleaser, spicy, expressive, powerful, elegant. How about, and Zinfandel is from Croatia, right? Originally?
It is. It is.
So let's go for Franz Liszt.
Oh, of course.
You know, again, he was a virtuoso pianist, very powerful, just a showman, spicy, I think, in some of the things that he did personally and musically. So let's go with his Grand Polonaise, Franz Liszt, Zinfandel.
I love that. Thank you. My goodness. You know what? When we start doing our tasting notes for the wines, Oliver, I'm going to get you to come up and take part because we have so much fun when we are talking about the wines. But I love your approach. And this is really, it's beautiful.
Anytime. And there's so many parallels between music and wine. I know there's so many wine lovers and even winemakers in the orchestra. I mean, wine and music are things that bring people together. They're expressions of often a sense of place, sometimes a sense of time, and their creativity. They're artists, the winemakers, the musicians who really take something from tradition but create something so new that's so enjoyable. So many parallels.
So true. I do feel that this has a real sense of place. As you are right that the Zinfandel did originally come from Croatia. Although in California, we like to think of this as being a sort of quintessential California wine. And if you compare the Zinfandels that are grown in Croatia to the ones that we grow, it's a totally different style. For me, this is what I love. But, you know, and this is also what I know. I grew up, my dad was a grower for other wineries. And I think the first grape he ever planted was Zinfandel. I mean, it's just what everybody knows and loves. So, well, I think we should, I could continue talking about this for quite a while, but I think we now should move on to our next performer. So for all of you who are watching, and by the way, to all of you who are watching, first let me say, this is the Hall Wines Happy Hour. My name is Catherine Hall, and my guest today, is Oliver, who is here. I have Oliver Tile from the San Francisco Symphony, and we have 3 other wonderful musicians from the Symphony as well. So we are about to move on to our next performance. And if you want to ask any questions of Oliver or of any of the musicians, please put them in the queue and we'll get to them the best we can. So our next performer is going to be Katie Katarach. And Katie, you are there. There she is.
Hi, Catherine. Thanks for having me on the show.
Thank you so much for coming. So let's see, let's get Oliver to talk about you first. Oliver, anything you want to tell us all about Katie?
Oh, I think Katie needs to tell us about herself.
Well, okay then. Katie, come on, tell us. You know, so you're going to play the viola. Tell us, and I understand that you played many instruments, not just the viola. Why do you love this one?
I think like Helen, yes, I've dabbled with many instruments in the past. I started on the piano and then studied violin and cello somewhat intensively. And at the beginning of high school, my mom, who was a violist, she handed me a viola and she said, try this. And I said, no way. And then I tried it and it was just the perfect fit. I think physically and sonority wise, it's kind of a nice balance between the violin and the cello. So that's kind of how I fell in love with the viola.
Oh my, I love that. So tell us, what are you going to play for us?
This is an arrangement of a Bach piano partita that my father did, who is a cellist with the San Francisco Opera.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
Yes, over the years, he has been kind of putting together a little collection of movements from different partitas and French and English sonatas of Bach and into like a little collection. And the last time I was up in Mendocino, staying with my parents, I heard him practicing them and I asked him to write it out for me on viola because he had transcribed it for cello. And so he did, and It's very sweet. And so I thought, you know, it's a work in progress, but it's something that I've been working on this summer. And I thought it might be nice to share it here.
That is so exciting.
Yeah.
Did I hear you say that your parents are up in Mendocino?
Yes. They live in Mendocino.
Well, you know, this wine comes from like very close to your family then.
I saw that. Cheers. Yes.
Isn't that wonderful? I love it. I wish I could say I planned it that way, but I didn't.
Well,
That's great.
A very fortunate pairing of wine because I found it so lively. It was delicious. I actually cheated and I opened it last night. But the Bach is very lively. And also my husband is half Croatian. And as you were just discussing about the Zinfandel grapes, I think that's kind of a nice little marriage of everything.
My goodness, I'm just going to chalk this all up to serendipity. This is just meant to be. So please, the screen, the stage, it's all yours, Katie.
Thank you. Let me just change this. All right. That's it.
Did you ever think about playing the cello, or you're going to leave that to your dad? Oh, I can't hear you. Let's see.
How about now? Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
I used to play cello. I absolutely adore playing cello.
Okay.
I play about once a year with some friends in like very private.
That's well, Katie, that was just so special. Thank you so much for joining us.
Cheers. Thanks for having me.
Cheers. So goodbye. We'll see you.
That was wonderful. My goodness.
Oh my gosh, that was so wonderful. Really, really beautiful. So when I think of Bach, I always think of piano. As you know, so many of us when we're growing up, those are your little exercises for your
Yeah.
fingers too.
So elegant.
So anyway, we have one more wine, Oliver, to try. And so for all of you who'd like to join us, now we're going to do our 2016 Cabernet from the Bergfeld Vineyard. And here it is. I'm going to pass this over to you all the way. There you got it. Yay. So this is a wine that it comes from an area right down by our St. Helena facility. So it's on the valley floor, which is the warmest part of Napa Valley. And it has these just beautiful characteristics always, year after year, of just like lots of sort of blackberry. It's just a full, very plush, concentrated wine that I think always delivers just beautiful, beautiful fruit. So, and we, well,
Yum, yum, yum,
isn't
yum.
that nice? Isn't that nice?
Oh, it's amazing. It's just rich, full.
It is.
There's an earthy element too.
Yes,
that
it
not every
is.
Cabernet has, which is just wonderful.
Mm-hmm. It does. It totally does. It also is, guys, up to me that for me, it sort of comes across a little bit of a leather quality in there.
Yep.
Which I like.
Love it.
But, so we
So
named this after, this actually comes from, so as I was saying, the vineyard itself is right behind our St. Helena facility, but it's named after the original winery that was located on the site. Oh, and here's a picture of what it looks like now. So this is the Bergfeld building. It's one of the oldest wineries built in Napa Valley. And the vineyard behind it is one of the oldest vineyards that was planted in Napa Valley. And so we renovated this from one picture because we didn't have any records. And there it is. This is a picture of how, the only picture standing of how this winery used to look. But we redid it, and it came, I think it looks, well, obviously it looks very, very similar. So the winery itself, where we produce the wine, is very high tech. Our tasting areas are very modern. And I love this sort of juxtaposition of, for me, it's rather symbolic of the structures themselves, because winemaking is so much about tradition, but it's also about taking advantage of the new tools that we can to refine the way that we make wine. And I think that really comes through here in this wine. So, well,
So
now
are these the grapes that you see from the tasting room?
they exactly are. They are. Thank you. So, okay, now I've given you a minute or two. You know what I'm going to ask you here to describe this wine in some musical terms.
It's big. It's lush. Dense. It's full, very expressive. So I would say Tchaikovsky, maybe Tchaikovsky Symphony No. 6. I mean, he was a composer who really, with his sweeping melodies and his rich, lush orchestration, romantic, expressive, I think really carries the day. So that's my choice. Tchaikovsky Symphony No. 6 with the Bergfeld 2016 Cabernet.
Oliver, to all of you who are watching, I am loving this, and I'm sure so many of our folks who love wine are also just loving these comparisons. So now, to all of you who are watching, let me say one more time as a reminder, this is the Hall Family Happy Hour. My name is Catherine Hall. I'm here with Oliver Tile and our three fabulous artists from the San Francisco Symphony. We have just been treated to two fabulous performances. We're drinking some fabulous wine, and we're about to get one more performance. So Oliver, who is our next guest?
We have our Associate Principal Oboe, James Button. So oboe, just a beautiful, beautiful instrument. It's actually the instrument that I think is closest to the human voice, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe James can confirm that in terms of...
That's right. That's a lot of people share that opinion.
Yeah, well, James, take it away.
Sure, yeah, my name is James, and as Oliver said, I'm Associate Principal Oboe of the Symphony. I've been here for about, this is my third season now, and I'm originally from Australia.
From Australia, we can hardly hear your accent,
I
or
know,
at least you'll have to talk more.
I moved here when I was 17, and that's been over half my life now, so.
I guess it goes.
My accent.
So tell us a bit more before you perform, if you would, about the oboe being the closest to the human voice. Could you expand on that just a little bit?
Sure, it shares almost an identical range for probably the soprano voice, and just the tone quality and the expressive nature of the instrument. Composers rarely write very technical, elaborate fireworks types of stuff for us. Our bread and butter is beautiful melodies that really does sort of just is reminiscent of the human voice. Yeah.
Well, what are you going to play for us now?
So I'm playing a movement from a Telemann flute fantasy in B flat major. Unfortunately, the oboe has a very small repertoire and compared to other instruments. So sometimes we have to poach pieces from other instruments, and the flute has a lot more music written for it than the oboe does. So,
well, take it away. The floor is yours.
thank you.
Thank you so much, James. I just that was absolutely beautiful.
Oh, thank you so much for having us. It's been a real pleasure and a real treat
Oh my!
to get to taste all these beautiful wines.
Oh my goodness. So I have to think that you have amazing breath control. If you swim, you could probably go underwater for a long time.
The oboe is very challenging in many ways, but part of that is because we have we take all this air in and we have a tiny little opening in the top of the reed. So there's a huge amount of back pressure for us to blow against, which leads to all kinds of facial and neck puffing. It's not the most, if you want to look pretty, it's not a great instrument to play, I would say.
Well, I would like to say that you were looking very, very handsome.
Oh,
and your music was absolutely beautiful.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, James.
Cheers. Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Now, Oliver, I think we should actually bring back all of our wonderful artists, and that's so we can say thank you to them all. And by the way, maybe then we can ask some questions, and let's see if we have any questions that have come in. Hey, well, Helen is coming. There she is. Helen, I'd like to think that you were out enjoying some wine. So
I was just pouring myself some more.
That's a very good excuse. I love it. So So let me ask you guys this. This is a question that we've had come in over the course, and I'd love to hear what each of you say. So what do you do like after you do a performance? What's your sort of go-to event? Or do you just go home and go to bed? Or
I think Katie should answer this one.
Katie,
okay,
Katie's the
Katie.
most
Okay,
fun.
Katie, go first.
I think it alternates. So depending on the night, if you have like a collective positive energy, you kind of want to keep that going. So, you know, like Helen said, there's like a beautiful wine bar down the street, there's a couple of fun dive bars with fun cocktails. And was that the question? I'm so sorry.
Yes, absolutely. You know, what you do after your performance, because then I'm going to ask you guys what you're going to do next. But okay, Helen, is that what you do too?
Well, I mean, to be honest, I'm pretty boring. So most of the time I go home to Berkeley because it's such a drive. I don't really stick around most nights, but when I do, no, there have been some really, really fun nights after, you know, if you have the right group of people and it's the right energy. One time we were out until like 3 or 4 at Martuni's, which is the karaoke bar down the street. And then we went to get burritos at the Mission. So
that's nice.
It depends. It depends on who's there.
Yeah. And James, how about you?
I'm kind of like Helen. I generally go home after most performances, and I'm usually focused on the next night. You know, we have to often perform these shows 3 or 4 nights in a row. But you know, Katie is usually my go-to person. If I'm feeling like I need to wind down a little bit before I go home after a concert, Katie's the one that will tell me where everyone's going, and usually just tag along wherever they're going to that night.
Katie's most popular, funnest person in the orchestra.
She definitely is.
Oh, Katie, your secret is out beyond the members of the orchestra. So, well, to all of you. So, Helen and James, you'll be going. You don't have to go home. You are already home, right? And Katie, I just hope you go live it up with a cocktail or a glass of wine someplace. You all have just been such a wonderful treat for everybody, for me and for everybody who's been watching. Thank you so very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Cheers.
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 Well, Oliver, I was going to say.
I'm still here, still
don't
drinking.
Don't go away yet. I just want to say to you, thank you so much. This group that you have brought together has just been so special for all of us, and I thank you for making that happen. Do you have any last words or of advice or a comment to tell everybody before you leave us?
No, I just want to say thank you for this opportunity to taste these amazing wines. I think your passion for what you do comes through in the glass in the way that I hope that the passion that Helen and Katie and James brought came through on the screen. Again, it was a wonderful opportunity. Thank you. And looking forward for everyone to see us live again soon. Until then, please check us out at sfsymphony.org, our Facebook and Instagram pages, where Helen, James, and Katie and their colleagues really hopefully entertain you until we can play live for you again. So thank you for having us.
Thank you so much, Oliver. I just wish I have a wonderful weekend. You've been a perfect start to ours.
Oh, thank you. Cheers.
Thank you very much. Cheers. Well, to everyone, I hope you have had as much fun as I have and are now ready and in the mood to have a wonderful, artistic, creative, enjoyable 3-day weekend. So we will be back next week on Instagram, on Facebook, and our program continues. I look forward to seeing you then. And in the meantime, stay healthy and sip up.